We're pretending a song is playing. Do, 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 do. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rewind and Reflect, where we believe in the universal law that there is no such thing as coincidence or mistakes. And we are here to share our life story on that with you. And I have Miss Kristen Dean with me again.
Hi, Deb.
You're going by Dean now these days, right?
I am. It's so funny. If you Google me
Yeah.
and you Google me with my last name, Longmore, you,
Yeah.
you get, there's more information under my married name. I changed it in 2021. I changed it back.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
um,
I thought about doing that too, but seeing as Hunter's my only child, I didn't want him to be alone with Miller name. You know what I mean? Not that that's bad, but I just wanted him like, I don't know. I just wanted to share my last name with him.
I polled my children before I did it,
Yeah.
because I was like, ugh, you know, and my reason for doing it was I was in a relationship at the time, but I thought
Mhm.
to myself, I'm probably not going to marry this individual. I knew that. But I thought with my ex-husband's last name, I could not get remarried
Mm.
and
Yeah.
keep Longmore. So I thought, oh, I'll just switch it back to Dean. And my kids are like, wow, yeah, cool, mom, cool.
Yeah.
And it actually helped, because soon after my mom got ill. And so, when I was calling all the doctor's offices, I shared her last name again. So it was easy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
honestly, I find that, when my kids were school age, I needed that last name was helpful.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but I was talking to my son the other day saying, there are more times when I would have preferred to have my kid's last name.
Really?
Yes, but it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
Like it's a name I could go to the grave with. So
Yes,
I
I
never
know.
have to
Well,
change it again.
I am really confusing people these days because my book is under Deb Lawless Miller.
Right.
And that's not like a legal name, but it's my book name because there were so many Deb Millers, Deborah Millers. And I also felt like the people who knew me as Lawless would have an easier time finding it with the Lawless name.
Yeah.
And so it just, happened that way. But someday, because again, if I if I end up getting remarried, I can't add a third name, Deb Lawless Miller, blah. It's like, how ridiculous would that be? So I don't know. I think, who knows what's going to happen in life. It's just, yes, I just have to tell the audience, like, all right, so a couple episodes ago, I went through the whole episode with my glasses on crooked, and I've told you about how I forgot to end one of the episodes of this podcast, and proceeded to like get undressed in front of everybody. Thank God I caught that before it went live. Oh my God. And I've showed up to on the beach with the bathing suit inside out and stuff. It's just, I just need, like I said, I just need to pay more attention to myself. So, um, but it's just very difficult for me for some reason. But the other day oh my God, you and I were laughing so hard because this is another Debism. I can't seem to remember proper words.
Already laughing. Go ahead.
So, just the most common words and places I just cannot remember. So, I was telling you how Kevin was at the casino a couple days ago, and I couldn't remember the word for casino. So I said, he was at the arcade and won some money.
Oh my
And you just burst out laughing. Arcade. And I was like, oh my God, what is that thing called where you go and you spend
God.
money on slot machines? You're like, the casino. I'm like, oh, so right. That's the carnival.
Oh my God. Oh yeah, that's right. Holy
So
moly.
we just started laughing about like our days back growing up, and
Mm.
hanging out at the arcade. That was like the place to be. And anyways,
Farmington Valley Mall, man.
Farmington Valley
Ugh,
Mall, and
God,
all the shenanigans that went on there.
what fun.
But anyways, I tend to think about myself as not being the age that I am.
Oh,
In my
oh.
mind, I'm like much younger. I'm sure a lot of people think that too. And I look at my parents, and my mom is 80, gonna be 81, and my dad is 84, 83, 84. And they're like amazing, right?
Mm,
They still do all the things. He golfs, they play cards, she volunteers, they're driving, and I know that I am really, really lucky because I know so many of my friends, including you, who have had ill parents, parents that have passed away.
mm,
And this is the time in our life that we're really taking care of our parents, and sometimes still our kids, because if they're not married and doing their own thing, sometimes they might move back in with us, or just be a little bit more dependent on us than if they were married and had their own family, whatever. And I got to thinking, of course, I the thought of me losing either one of my parents, I mean, if you read my book, if you know me personally, like, that they are just such a huge part of my life.
mm.
And the thought of losing either one of them, I just can't even fathom, and I don't want to think about it. But growing up in our sobriety together, being very close to you, I knew the relationship that you had with your parents, and they lived in the next town over. And but it wasn't like you weren't talking to your mom on the phone every day. It was kind of a little bit of a broken relationship. And then in this past year when she passed away, um, you know, I thought to myself, that I can't imagine losing your mom, but what is it like when you lose a parent that you're not really close to begin with? Like, are there different feelings of guilt, or I don't know, resentment? Like, how do you deal with that?
It's so funny because I don't know whether I don't really miss my mom at all. Not one
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
Um, that's the God's honest truth. Um,
And
the
thank you for being that honest,
yeah,
because I will tell you that I guarantee there's other people out there that feel that same way and feel like they can't be honest about that. So good
yeah,
for
like
you for like just laying it
it's
out there.
out there, you know, and don't get me wrong, I've led a charmed life. I have, yes, I'm adopted. My brother was adopted. Um, my brother and I are, he is,
Thick as thieves, as they
oh my
say.
God, I
Hmm.
am so lucky to have a sibling. He lives in Seattle. I'm in Connecticut. So when my mom was ill, and now it's been just over a year, he was, you know, calling me like hey sis, what can I do? I feel so guilty. I'm so far away. What can I do? What can I do? And honestly, you know, the support of him calling me was enough
Yeah.
to help me. I could call him and be like, "You're never gonna guess what happened today."
Yeah.
Like, and he and I've told you, he and I have dissected our mother and her mental illness and potential alcoholism, um, ad nauseum. I mean, like, we're like, we just don't understand.
I mean, do you feel comfortable giving a little bit of insight to how your mom passed?
Yes,
And
absolutely. So, oh God, my mom. I love my mom. I loved her. I know she loved me. I know she did the best she could. Um, I just think that she didn't have the mom gene. But
yeah,
anyway,
that's
um,
fair.
her illness, um, hard to say. because she died at home, and it, it was so, my mom was very Victorian, like, oh,
Yeah.
like, like,
Like clench your pearls and go, oh,
uh,
yes.
like everything was like, she was, without my father,
Yeah.
she would have crumbled. She was so dependent.
Mm.
Um, Now I have not lived with them since I was 17. So, um, my brother and I speak of her always having the brandy bottle on the counter.
Hmm.
She drank when she had cramps
Hmm.
on a monthly basis. But like, you know, I don't know how much she drank, but I do know at the end of her life, um, actually prior to her becoming bedridden, she was drinking more frequently, and she was older.
Hmm.
COVID was a huge thing for her, like,
Yeah.
oh my God. So a couple times she fell, and I am 99% sure that her falling was related to her drinking.
Hmm.
Um, and those falls caused her to be even more fearful. My mom was a bit agoraphobic. She had some sort of mental illness, whereby, my mom and dad have large families, and like little by slowly, she had just eliminated everyone. It was like this bubble in their house
Yeah.
in Simsbury, just the
And
two.
and even when you went over there, she would be like, "Okay, bye bye."
Bye
Like
bye, you guys gotta go.
yeah, she would get very anxious like after a little bit of time and
Yeah. Yeah, she was. And it's so funny, like, her parents, my grandparents, I adored them, and they lived in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And when they were older and infirm and dying, I would drive down there every weekend to
mm,
spend time with them. I loved them so much. Like they were my family. You talk about like in AA, people come into the program and they talk about not being never feeling like always feeling like they didn't belong.
hmm.
Um, I never felt that with my friends, with my brother. Like I was lucky, my grandparents, but in my immediate with my parents, with
Mm,
my mom in particular, I
hmm.
felt like an outcast,
Yeah.
like whatever. But anyway, so she had fallen these couple of times, and so she ended up in bed.
She took
Like
to bed. She took to her bed.
literally, like I'm talking about Victorian times.
Yes.
And what happened was like she stopped moving. Like she completely gave up. The mind is a really powerful thing.
Yeah.
And I enlisted McLean, a local
Healthcare
nursing home,
facility. Yeah.
like PT, OT. They would come in and they'd give her things to do so she could, because she was like losing her atrophy, like,
Yeah.
and she just refused to do anything. And my dad was like literally he my brother and I are always like, I don't know how he did it. Like,
Well, she literally took to her bed and essentially stopped, refused to eat,
yep,
refused to get help, and she within a year and a half or whatever,
was dead.
she died because she of malnutrition.
Yep,
She wasn't even sick, but she
right.
made herself sick and took her life like that. Like she
She,
literally was like gave up on life and she just did never got up again, never. And your dad just took care of her in
yeah,
every way, shape, and form, emotionally, physically, everything. And she just gave up. So
yeah, slow
you,
suicide.
yeah.
And
And
I was, you know, I would go over there, and she was drinking, a
mhm.
lot. And I think at one point I said to my dad, like she would start drinking and she's very remorseful. I was a horrible mother, la 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 la, and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I can't watch I'm out of here. Like,
Yeah.
I can't watch this. So, I said to my dad, I'm not sticking around if she's going to be, drinking and behaving like this.
Yeah.
It, it just kind of made me sick. Like,
Mm.
I don't know. And my dad, he still speaks to this day how she was his true love. And I was telling my brother the other day, I'm like, yeah, I don't like, I have no idea why. My dad, since her passing, my dad has, taken a train across the country, gone to visit his sisters up in Maine. He has two
He,
sisters that he hadn't
he,
seen in probably 30 years because
wow.
he chose to follow my mom's wishes, which was nobody.
Yeah. It's
Nobody.
just you and me. And he also published a book,
He did too.
and
Yep.
he's working on his publishing his second book.
Yeah.
It was like he literally came alive when she passed.
Yeah.
And you know, I want to get back to like how you processed your feelings of losing your mom and not really liking her. It's not like she was physically abusive or anything like that. Or was she?
Well, I mean, listen, I grew up in the 70s, so she would like slap our faces, pull us by our hair and stuff like that. But like, so did everyone's parents back then, right? We got whacked on the ass. No, not Deb's. By the way, your parents are just, I love your parents so
I
much.
know, but my parents never pulled me by the hair or slapped me in the face. I don't
Yeah.
think that's normal. I think that was a little bit of abuse.
So she probably was a bit abusive. Yeah.
I would say so.
Yeah.
I don't think, I don't know. Maybe
She,
we should poll people. Like, is pulling hair and slapping in the face considered normal?
Listen, she she was way more, her words, her
Yeah.
criticism was way more biting. Like I found, I think I told you this story. My dad and I were right after she died. I found a letter she had written, not a letter, but like some journaling stuff. And she had written this most horrific thing about me divorcing my ex-husband, me leaving my ex-husband, taking the kids, moving to Winstead. Um, and once again, I'm only thinking of myself and I hope she pays for this. Like this was my
Mhm.
mom, like,
Yeah.
and I handed it back to my dad and I go, Dad, this is one of the reasons why mom and I, and he goes, I forget what he said. He ripped it up and he goes, well, we're not going to look at that anymore. Like he's just denial.
Yeah.
Like,
Denial and enabling. I know. And he's such a sweetheart and he
uh,
really like loves, but he took all of that love and emotion and put it to your mom and didn't put it towards you and your children, his grandchildren,
I had a therapist say,
because of her. Yeah.
yeah, I
Because
had
of
a
her.
therapist once say to me, because I forever, would be in and out of therapy. And when I was younger, in particular, talking about my relationship with my parents, and I talked about our childhood and us moving around a lot, and that had nothing to do with my dad's career or anything like that. It was my mom searching for a geographical cure,
Yeah.
like whatever. Um, so I was so angry at my mom as a young adult and blame, blame, blame. I don't do that anymore. In fact, my brother and I are like, you know what? Mom and dad made us who we are, and we're happy and we're successful.
Hmm.
But my mom this, my mom that, and the therapist said to me, "And you're not angry at your father for going along with it?" And I was
Mm.
like, "Oh, because
Yeah.
I loved my dad. Like I
Yeah.
love my dad. He's
Yeah.
like when you talk about thinking about losing your parents, like if I
Yeah.
think about losing my dad,
Yeah.
yeah, that's really kind of a
Yeah.
yucky feeling. But
Yeah.
anyway, getting back to what you were saying about processing.
Hmm.
So, um, I think it was, I don't know if it was a couple episodes ago, a couple podcasts ago, we were talking about when I was actively drinking and
Hmm.
not being present, right?
Yeah.
So I had they were like pseudo parents, and Steve and Marilyn, and Steve was in the program, and he was responsible for my early exposure to AA, and my ultimate hop in there, and you know it was, whatever. So they were like pseudo parents to me, cool parents. But when they both passed away, I was actively drinking, so I
Yeah.
wasn't present. And when my mom started going through her illness and my dad struggling, I was fully present. I had been sober just over a year, I think, or just about a year when she first started to take to her bed. Um, so I was fully present.
Hmm.
I was I was there. I was helped my dad. I felt confident that my mom knew I loved her when she passed away. And so therefore, I didn't have any guilt. I
Hmm.
think it's because, like, if I think back now to Steve and Marilyn, I have some guilt,
Yeah.
some regret. None, and you know, even my dad, whom I love, if something happened to him, you know, I love him more than my mom. Like, if something happened to him today,
Yeah.
I would not feel any guilt because I feel like I'm always, my brother and I are always calling him, checking on him, spending time with him, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I, I don't,
Well, and also not only were you present with your mom's passing, but I feel like it was almost more important that you were sober and present for your dad when
yes,
she left,
yes,
because he being the person that he was, and so he revolved his life so much around her, that that's a huge hole for him. And then,
yeah,
but you were there to help
yeah,
him and you stepped right up. And thankfully he lives really close to you. So you're, it wasn't like you'd have to fly in and fly out. And, I just wonder if, it's such a tricky, like moms and daughters, it's so hard, especially I think people portray they want that relationship with their mom where they're like, oh, we're best friends. We talk
mhm,
several times a day and we go shopping and all this. And some people do have that, but a lot don't.
yeah,
And then they feel like, why don't I feel like that way with my mom, and why aren't I so sad that she's gone now,
right,
and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It is the relationship that you had with her,
right,
period. And you did the best you could with the mom that you had.
right, exactly. Yeah, and I think, you are right. There are a ton of people that I know. I have a friend, I'm thinking one of my very close friends, Carrie, she she lost her dad when he died young, suddenly. We were
Oh,
like 35 years old, and he suddenly passed away. And she's close with both of her parents, um, kind of like, you know, the challenges we all had with our
mm-hmm.
parents. But you talked when we first started about not feeling your age. Like, I don't feel my age either, but they
Mm.
call us the sandwich generation because we have, my
Ah,
son's living at home still. I'm hope, I want to launch him properly, and then my dad, who's a bit dependent on me. Um, but losing a parent at that age, I remember it being so pivot, like so poignant and so shocking. But she's close with her mom,
yeah.
um, who lives in another state. And you're close with your mom. Like, I think of those relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But most people I know, yeah, that I can think of right off the bat, you know, challenges with their parents. Like,
Yeah.
not everybody, and my friend group, right? So aside from even my coworkers, I talk to them about you know their upbringing. And a
Yeah.
lot of them not close with their parents or this one's an alcoholic, this one,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Or even a lot of them got, well, our generation, I don't feel like our parents got divorced so much, but
yes.
we
We were this, yep,
we all got divorced. So our
yep,
kids grew up with divorced parents. And
exactly.
that adds a whole other layer of, whatever, resentment to your parents. If your parents split up and it's because your dad had an affair and you're close to your mom, now you hate your dad, it's like all of these different layers. But I look at, like, let's say, I mean, a lot of my friends have parents who are in assisted living
Mm,
facilities and declining, or have dementia or Alzheimer's, and
mm,
it is a lot on them. Or they have, like, they're living with them. I have this one girlfriend who, her 94-year-old mother lives with her and her husband, and she goes to dialysis 3 times a week, and it's like, it is hard. You have to make really hard decisions
yeah.
for your, what facility that your parents are going to end up in, or whatever that may be. I remember when my mom a couple years ago had a pulmonary embolism, and she literally, her heart stopped literally 5 feet from where my father happened to be sitting.
Mm,
And he was 80 years old at the time. And he did 15 minutes of compression on her. And
amazing.
like, he broke ribs. That's how hard he was doing it. And that's how hard you have to do it.
Hmm.
So at 80 years old, like 15 minutes, he is just plunging on her. He never done anything like that in the past. But thank God he did, because he ultimately saved her life, and
Yeah.
she recovered from that with no brain damage. And it was truly a miracle that she's fully recovered. We didn't think she would be fully recovered. So we had to look for facilities that would help with somebody who had, brain damage, and facilities that had PT and all this. So we started on that mission of finding, and it is so overwhelming. It
Yeah.
is so
Trying
overwhelming.
to find
You have,
spots.
yes, that, and then does your insurance pay, and does this and that? And we would go into some of these facilities, and it would just, I'm like, no, my mother is not going to go here. Like, it just
Mm,
didn't smell right. And like,
yeah.
so, and then, okay, we found the one that she can get in. Is there an open bed? Does her insurance take it? Is her nurses good? Like, holy moly. And that, we went through that for a couple months until she was well enough to come home. But that is the type of thing that people struggle with every single day when it comes to their parents, and getting them the help that they need. And then when they are settled someplace, going to visit them, making
Yeah.
sure that they're not lonely, making sure that, it's a whole thing. And I know a lot of people our age are dealing with this right now.
The
And
stress. I can remember like my mom decided to stay at home. My mom is the opposite of your mom. Like when I think of how your mom, what do I need to do? How,
yeah,
she's just an amazing human and a whole miracle. And just an example of someone, if you want to live and you're willing to put in
yeah,
the work, there you go.
yeah,
Um, but like she didn't want to go anywhere. So just calling all these different places and then trying to find, and then like I'd spend and I'm working, like everybody who's doing
mhm,
this in this,
yeah,
our age group is also probably working full time.
yes,
And they're making these calls and then these people would show up and my mom would kick them out the door. It'd be like, or like, you don't like the place, whatever,
yeah.
I,
Yeah, I remember your mom many times, like, Mom, and the nurses would be like, we have to get her somewhere. She's literally dying right now. She's failing.
yeah,
And your mother refused to go.
refused. Yeah.
And it's just like, but that just is a reflection to me, I think, on her mental health, because
100%.
anybody who is willing to just give up their life like that tells me, and not care about their children's feelings, their husband's feelings, their grandkids' feelings, or whatever, just tells me that she was in such a state of depression that she could not think of anything else but just let me die.
She couldn't, yeah. I almost feel like sometimes I think she wanted to exit to give my dad, he's had time to get to know his grandchildren that live on the West Coast,
Hmm.
to spend time with them. He's going to be 84 on Saturday. Like, you know, it's just amazing. But you made me think of two things. One, when you talked about mental health. So my mom throughout the years, and you are aware of some of this, um, we would go through periods where we weren't speaking to one another.
Hmm.
Like, you know, I don't want to get into the reasons why, just we wouldn't be speaking to each other. She had a thing, I'll just say this, she had a thing about bringing up the shit I did in high school. And I'm 42 years old. I'm living on my own. I'm supporting myself. They've thrown me out when I was 17. Like, and I finally said to her one day, Mom, I don't want to hear about 1985 any freaking more. I'm
Hmm.
so sick of it. Like, whatever. And so we went through like this year of not talking. And she called me one day in a tizzy, like kind of like she was, when she was drinking at the end of her life. Oh, I'm a horrible mother. And she was like, "What do I have to do? What do I have to do to get you? I miss you so much." And blah blah blah. I go, "Mom, you need to get some help. You need to
Mm.
get you need to talk to somebody." So I swear to God, Deb. So she finds a psychologist right in downtown Simsbury. Easy peasy. They start going. My dad's going with her. They like her. The woman was 63 years old, drops dead of a heart attack.
No.
So the only time, so don't you know,
Oh,
my mom was like, I'm never doing that again.
yeah.
Like she really liked her and she was gaining some ground
Mm.
and this woman drops dead. So it was like, whatever, she tried. Um,
She tried.
the point is she needed to go back and do
Yes,
a lot
yeah, I
more.
know.
Um, and then the other thing, I don't know what made me think of this, but my dad will often talk to, and I was just talking to my brother about this. We talk about this all the time. He'll talk about our mom to us in a way that's like he wants us to feel the love. He wants us to be um
Is he rewriting the script about her though? Like,
he
is he?
does rewrite the script sometimes.
Yeah,
He tries to rewrite the script that are moving all around the countryside had to do with his job, which is a bunch of BS.
yeah.
Um,
It was because she thought your brother had allergies or
at
something, right?
first, we moved
Yeah,
out to California because and okay, I'll give him that, but it was the 70s and everybody was, moving out to California. So I don't know whether it was like, let's move out to California. But anyway, he wants to endear her to us.
oh yeah.
And we're just like, yeah. Um, and I, it's funny how like history repeats itself. My children are, my daughter is closer with my ex-husband than my son. My son right now is going through a period where he doesn't speak to his father,
Hmm.
which brings me sadness
Yeah.
because for Ken and for my children, you
Hmm.
know, um, my daughter works harder on it, but I found myself trying to talk to my son as my father will talk to me about my
Hmm.
mother. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, oh my gosh, I shouldn't be doing that because that's not my business. Like his relationship, he's an adult. His relationship with his father is his business. And that it is the way it is because my son had an experience with his father that was not great. Same with my daughter, so I'm only responsible for my relationship with my children. And I think my dad tried to take that on. I can see him taking it on and
Yeah.
trying to neaten it up nicely.
I
But
just, I just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I would be really upset if he was doing that. Like, I would be like, Dad, it's one thing to say, your mother loved you the best she could. She wasn't
Yes.
perfect. She loved you the best she could. But to be, and that just shows like his how codependent he was on her, that she's gone and he's still trying to like make her look a certain way to you guys.
Yeah.
And you're a nice person, you're a kind, loving person that probably wouldn't say anything to him about that, because you're like, my dad's 84, and let him just live the way he wants to live and think the way he wants to think and say the things he wants to say. I can't help but feeling like I might be a little bit resentful. Like, this is, stop sticking up for her.
Yeah.
She was not that great to me, and it hurts that you want to make her into something that she wasn't. Do
I've
you
thought
feel that
about,
way? Like, do
yes, it's so funny that you say that. And here's where my God bless my brother,
mm,
because I can talk to him about it and we can
okay, yeah.
bounce it off each other and go, yeah, my brother is a little braver than I am. He'll ask more pointed questions. Like, what
Mhm.
was that move about, Dad? Like, why did we do that? Um, I'm, you're right. Like, thank you for saying I'm a nice person. But I also feel like I don't like conflict.
Oh no,
So,
yeah. You do
I
not
mean,
like conflict.
I don't like conflict. Not many people do, but like, I do. Like, he was talking about something the other day. He was here, he was talking about her. Oh no, I was at his house and he was telling me once again the story of how they met, and it's a lovely story, and how it was, destiny and stuff. And I go, Dad, I've heard the story. Like, love you, but I've heard,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't he he was a great dad to me and my brother. Like, when we think back to our memories, our childhood memories, it's dad who was reading us the bedtime stories. It's dad who was, playing with us. It's dad, like, now my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but and we said this the other day, it was almost like we turned 18 and she punched out.
yeah, yeah.
I'm
Done.
done. Like, my
Yeah,
job is over, but she would punch out as soon as my dad got home, and he did like everything.
yeah,
At least that's my memory. I
right.
mean, I don't know,
So
but
it doesn't you having the love for your dad it doesn't aggravate you that you're like, why are you like what do you call it, fantasize
oh, not romance.
romanticizing, yeah, like, why
Yeah.
are you doing that about her? She was, I don't know,
So,
why does that bother, I gotta look at myself and say, why does that bother me so much? Like, why do I want to confront him and be like, stop, you
well,
know?
it's the truth, but I think, if we were all younger, if he
Hmm.
wasn't 84, um, I I feel like at this point in his life, I'm just happy that he is so grateful to everything that I helped him with. He
Yeah.
says it all the time. He tells me and my brother how proud he's just such a delightful person that I
Mm.
feel like
You don't want to hurt him or make
I
him
don't want to
feel,
hurt.
you don't want to make him feel stung in any way.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he too did the best he could. And he thought of himself way less than my
Yeah.
mom did. Like, he was trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I always say I got my people pleasing skills
From him.
from my dad. I learned them from my
Yeah.
dad. But yeah, I just when to do so. Like, it's not
I know. You're so right. It's like,
what purpose.
I guess I just have a hard time with when I feel like somebody got away with something, like she was hurtful to you,
Yeah.
and
I think he knows that. I think
okay.
he knows in his brain I think just like I mean, we have more of an open, my kids and I have more of an open dialogue. I
Mm-hmm.
just told my dad this Saturday for the first time that I'm on Ancestry and I found my bio, like I told him that story back in 1996 when I was trying to search
Yeah.
for them pre-Ancestry. And he goes, "Oh, he goes, that would hurt your mother's feelings. Don't tell. Don't say anything. You shouldn't talk about that."
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Okay, whatever." But, I told him and he was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah.
I'm like, I only have one cousin that will even look at me or talk to me. But, like baby steps
Yeah,
with
I know.
Papa.
Yeah.
Like oh, he was able to take that news. I can tell him, he knows my history with drugs and alcohol. He knows all
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, but yeah, I feel like she's dead and gone.
Yeah.
Let's just work on.
Yeah. Right. You're good. You're good. I would love to hear from some of our audience members if they have the same kind of situation, or even like if anybody wants to jump on one of these podcasts with us and just talk about what they're going through with regards to their parents either aging or passing, or any of the, kind of emotions that they have about that. I think it's so important that we talk about it. And I know that not our next podcast, but maybe the podcast after, or a couple more down the line, Sue and you are going to be on together talking about being adopted and what that's like growing up. And I think, it would be so interesting to hear how you got on Ancestry and found out, who your biologicals are and that whole story, because that is a whopper of a story. So
Irish
we
Catholic
will.
secret,
Yeah.
as
And
I
just
always
the
say.
way that, it's just very interesting. So we will talk about that. But for now, I think we're going to wrap it up. And thank you so much for being so personal about, open and everything about how that's such a personal story. It really, it's not every day that somebody can come out and just be like, yeah, my mom's dead and I don't really
I
care.
don't really care.
I don't really care.
So, I want to share this really quick story
Yeah,
because you
yeah, of
mentioned
course.
so many people. Like, I have a friend whose mother has dementia. Her father's
Mm,
passed away. Um, and you mentioned Alzheimer's, dementia. So, that disease scares the crap out of me.
me
It's
too.
it's so painful. I watched this friend of mine, the pain that she's very close with her mother and watching her, she still knows who she is and stuff like that. But I had an I had a situation on Saturday night where I received a phone. My mother-in-law, I still call her my mother-in-law. She's the only mother-in-law I've ever had.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
ex-husband's mother is in assisted living, and she every once in a while she calls me.
I remember she called you like a couple months ago with some drama that was going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been instructed by my children and my ex-husband that my ex-husband feels very bad. He doesn't want, and I'm like, listen, it's not a big deal. It's okay. I've known her since I was 16 years old. I
Yeah.
lived with
Yeah.
her for God's
Right.
sakes. Um, but she called me, and my ex-husband and his girlfriend were away, come to find out, because I was on the phone, she called me, left a message. I collected her message and she said, it's grandma, can you call me back? So, okay, so I quickly called my daughter and I go, is dad out of town? Because every time he goes out of town, I get a phone call.
Yes, I remember that from last time. Right.
So her Netflix, she could not log. It was like, and I'm like, I get it. She's like, I don't know. She goes, this getting old, this sucks. I can't. And did you ever meet Lorraine?
Yeah. Couple
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
She's Spitfire.
Yeah.
But I gotta tell you, in talking to her, she has some memory
Yeah.
issues. And one of the reasons why my kids and my ex-husband put her in this assisted living facility. But speaking to this woman who was once just this pillar, this strong, like
Yeah.
younger than us when I met her, and putting a roof on our house
Mhm.
to go, I can't remember what you just told me. What did you
Mm.
just tell me? And, like, and her voice just it's like, it broke my heart. And I don't talk to her often. I don't see her often because she's,
Mhm.
my ex-husband has a new girlfriend and
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
whatever. But that hearing from people who struggle with the memory loss,
yeah.
it's so heartbreaking. I can't imagine when my dad repeats himself or like tells, I get worried, like, oh
I
my God,
know,
are we gonna
I
have to go
know.
through this? But
Oh, it is heartbreaking. I'm grateful every single day that, we're okay and my parents
yeah,
are okay, but I have such sympathy for those that aren't, and it's a horrible disease,
yeah,
horrible
and
disease.
couple that with if you're again sandwich generation, and you have a ch I hear people all the time who have children, adult children that are not doing well,
I
that are
know,
struggling, and that plus dealing with your pet, like the stress,
I know.
is just,
Well,
I'm
we're
sure
gonna
there's a
send,
lot of people.
yes, so we'll send them our best wishes right now.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you for joining us. And again, if you are interested in sharing with us any kind of topic that you want to discuss, if you want to be a guest on our show, we can help you in any way, shape, or form. You can see my little Lola over there. Whoops.
I saw her tail. Oh, look at, she's having a rest.
Yeah, she's having a rest. And here's Louie.
Hello, Louie. Look at
Yeah.
that fuzzy dog.
Louie's like, get me outside. I need a walk. It's been pouring rain here for like 2 days. So we got to go out and take a nice long walk right now. It just stopped raining. So, all right. Love you all. See you next week and namaste.
Love you, Deb.